Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to everybody that's in the room. You guys already know that I appreciate each and every one of you guys in here. If you guys have not smashed that like button, make sure that you guys smash that like button. All right. Also, if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you hit the bell twice. All right. So that you get all of the notifications. All right. And we got another stream coming up. All right. So make sure you stick around in this one and it'll take you right into the next one. All right. So if you guys can hear me, make sure that you guys throw a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys can't hear me, I guess I won't see anything. Shout out to Al McAllen. What up with it, bro? We got Val Williams in the building. What up with it, Val? We got Torian Rain Reloaded in the house. B1, bro. We got Emmanuel Carey up in here. We got Black Diamond. We got RG Titan. My man Kid Gravity Beyond is in the building. Make sure that you guys subscribe to Kid Gravity Beyond, and also make sure you guys subscribe to Torian. All right. We got Cameron in the house. We got my man Afro Elite, who did a great live stream yesterday and does excellent content. Shout out to my man Afro Elite B1. Make sure that you guys subscribe to his channel. If you guys have not, go ahead. If you guys need to, you can put your channel links in the chat so that people can go and check you guys' content out. All right. Shout out to Old Grandma. All right. What up with it, Grandma? We got Gullah Jack in the building. We got Robert Taylor up in here. My man Ali 81 Scunned in the building. What up with it? One More Chance is up in here. And we got Ricky McKinney and Sean Williams and Volvo in the building. What up with y'all? It's good to see everybody. So here's my question. On a scale, and we got Katsy up in here late. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important or the most impact, what is the level of impact that people want to see us make in the 2024 election? Level 10 or lower? Let me know. All right. Shout out to Fanteezy. What up with it, bro? If I would gauge the room properly, I think that everybody probably wants to make a 10. We want to make the loudest and biggest impact in history. And we want to continue that momentum until every election is working for us and we're making those changes. We're getting things done. You know what I'm saying? In order for that to happen, one of the things that we got to do is pay very close attention to the politics, right? We also got to pay very close attention to the things that the mainstream media is saying, because you guys know what the mainstream media is for. My question for you guys is, what is it that you guys think that the mainstream media is for? Is the mainstream media ever to provide clarity on anything that we might have a question about? Or is the mainstream media an apparatus that's used by the greater system to interject itself into places where it shouldn't be, as well as to sow seeds of confusion? Let me know what you guys think. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to my man, Ricky Jones. What's good with it, bro? So one thing that we have to do, right, if you ask me, is cultivate people who are open-minded and open to discussion and not who are programmed into knee-jerk reactions. If you ask me, it's a little bit difficult to deprogram somebody who by muscle memory only goes and does reactive actions. We got to be proactive. Shout out to Mike Mellis John and shout out to Patrice. What up with it? All right. A lot of people will just automatically vote one way. And we all know the way that most people vote. We know that both of these political parties have been practicing benign neglect, right? So one thing that we have to do is we have to take a close look at the numbers. We got to pay attention to how we can make differences marginally and the things that are important that you're actually invested in, things that you need or things that you don't want to see change. Okay. If you ask me, one thing that people tend to do is react when people say something that sounds good and not necessarily think it through all the way to completion. Because just because something sounds good doesn't necessarily mean that it is good. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that I feel that we have to do is we have to respond back to the mainstream media when the mainstream media attempts to push narratives on us. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Most people in this chat are of the similar mind state that we need to vote for our interests and not show party loyalty. We need to show interest loyalty, right? So when the mainstream media is pushing a narrative that people blindly follow Democrats, people blindly follow Biden, people blindly voted for Obama, people blindly voted for Kamala Harris, it's up to us to not only put out the content library that thoroughly debunks those notions, but also to spread awareness and to present to people the accurate information to enable them to make good, critically thought through decisions on how they plan to move politically. You guys agree with that? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. All right. So we got an article here. All right. And this article is from The Hill. And it says 5 big takeaways from President Biden's 2023 State of the Union address. All right. So now I know my man Kid Gravity did like a review of the 2023 State of the Union address. But let me ask you guys a question. What was your take home from it? My take home from it is that Joe Biden is an idiot. My other take home is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a troll. And the last take home that I have is that I don't know anybody named Tyler. Did you guys take home the same things as me? Shout out to Black Manta. What's up with it, bro? You guys take home the same things as I did? I wish I could have took home some leftovers and some food, but I didn't. I took home a bunch of nonsense and incorrect names. So now here it says President Biden delivered his second State of the Union address Tuesday amid the customary pomp and circumstance and loud acclaim from Democrats. But speech also came as Biden struggles with mediocre approval ratings and the realities of a divided Congress and the looming start of a 2024 election campaign. So again, Biden has mediocre approval ratings. Okay. Now let me ask you guys a question. Let's do a quick poll in here. If you approve of the job that Joe Biden has done, give me a thumbs up. If you disapprove, give me a thumbs down. Okay. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders gave the official GOP response, and we'll leave that to a later date. The high point of bipartisanship came in the first few sentences of Biden's speech. He congratulated Speaker Kevin McCarthy on his new role, turning around to shake the hand of the smiling Californian. I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you, Biden joked. So now immediately, what does that tell you? He sounds a lot more friendly to him than he sounded to us, right? So he's looking forward to working with this guy, even worried about his reputation being ruined. Just keep that in mind. To judge from the rest of the speech and the Republican reaction, there won't be much unity to come. Despite pledges from McCarthy to uphold decorum, Republicans made their dismay vocally obvious at several points. It was a far more aggressive display of dissent than the simple silence the opposition party has traditionally deployed during the past State of the Union address. So now here's my question. What does that show about the division? What does that show about the division between the Republicans and the Democrats? Now, here's my question. Is there any way that people can think of that we could mathematically exploit that division? There's division within the Democrat Party, and there's also division within the Republican Party. All of those can be marginally exploited. Now, let me ask you guys, what's a way that those can be marginally exploited? Let me know what you guys think. Biden offered some areas where there might be hope for bipartisan agreement, such as fighting the opioid epidemic and bolstering mental health care. Now, let me ask you guys a question. That right there immediately shows exactly who the priority is. If you ask me, that particular sentence right there, well, this is something that we can all get down on. Okay, well, that shows you exactly who the priority is. Who's the priority? Who does that tell you that the priority is? Okay. But he also leaned hard into a Democratic wish list. Now, you would think that as much black support as Joe Biden got, there should be some initiatives that we've been invested in for a very long time on that Democrat wish list, because one thing a Democrat wish list should do is it should look to serve its largest and most loyal base, right? That would be the assumption, right? So I'm going to read this list. And what I want you guys to do is tell me if you guys feel that you've been serviced from this list or not. Okay. Biden offered some areas of where there might be hope for bipartisan agreement, such as fighting the opioid epidemic and bolstering mental health care. But he also leaned hard into a Democratic wish list. He proposed an assault weapons ban, codification of abortion rights, a new tax on billionaires and labor union protections, none of which has any realistic chance of passing while the GOP holds the House majority. None of those, if you ask me, would do anything positive to affect any of the areas where we need help. Would they? Did you see any one thing that was on there that would be an initiative that should return black people to the poll in support of them? So now my thing is, if there's nothing on there that should stimulate people to go back to the poll, then people shouldn't go back to the poll and there shouldn't be any votes. Because clearly what that list shows is that we're still being ignored. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And also, real quick, if you guys have not smashed that like button, please make sure that you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys have not done the survey in the chat about the notifications, please take a moment, make sure you guys hit that up. There may have been promises of unity and prosperity, but Tuesday night was all about underscoring battle lines. Biden will draw them even more starkly if he announces a bid for a second term, as he's expected to do soon. In many ways, Tuesday's speech was his opening salvo. Okay. So now I don't think we need to read the rest of this, right? Because the rest of this just basically goes into a summary. And I'm sure that most people actually saw the State of the Union address. How many of you guys saw the State of the Union address? I know Kid Gravity did like a live review of it. So if you guys saw it, you guys all know what's up. Shout out to my man Steal My Beats and Lemon Lucas and my man DJ Elmo. What up with y'all? In fact, make sure y'all listen to Sean. Do what Sean is telling y'all to do. Sean is the boss for the minute. You know what I'm saying? Like button already hit before I typed in one word in this chat. I already answered this question. Woohoo! Facts. You know what I'm saying? Michael Brown said, I didn't watch that bullshit. Most Democrats are saying no thank you to Biden. So let me ask you guys a question. If Biden's fellow Democrats are saying no, how does that influence how we look at him? If his fellow colleagues are saying, nah, bruh, sit this one out. Here's my question for you guys. What should we explore saying? You know what I'm saying? What should we explore saying? You know what I mean? So now here it says a majority of Democrats now think that one term is plenty for President Joe Biden, despite his insistence that he plans to seek re-election in 2024. That's according to a new poll from the Associated Press NORC Centers for Public Affairs Research that shows just 37% of Democrats say they want him to seek a second term, down from 52% in the weeks before last year's midterm elections. So now, if his own colleagues do not want him as president in a second term, we need to do like Marcus said on the Corey Holcomb show. Biden Biden, you know what I'm saying? Goodbye. While Biden has trumpeted his legislative victories and abilities to govern, the polls suggest relatively few U.S. adults give him high marks on either. Follow-up interviews with poll respondents suggest that many believe the 80-year-old's age is a liability, with people focused on his coughing, his gait, his gaffes, and the possibility that the world's most stressful job would be better suited for someone younger. I honestly think that he would be too old, said Sarah Overman, 37, who's a Democrat who works in education in Raleigh, North Carolina. We could use someone younger in office. As the president gives his State of the Union address on Tuesday, he has a chance to confront fundamental doubts about his competence to govern. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Of those of you who saw the State of the Union address, did you all feel that after the State of the Union address, you felt more comfortable with his ability to be the big boss man of the country? If you guys did, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me laughing emojis. Biden has previously leaned heavily on his track record, which I don't think he has a good track record, to say that he's more than up to the task. When asked if he can handle the office responsibilities at his age, the president responded as if he's accepting a dare. Watch me. We've watched long enough. During that time, we've seen a spy balloon, we've seen the economy tank, we've seen unnecessary involvement in Ukraine, we've seen anti-black racism on the rise. We've seen the same thing that we always do as far as police killings. We've seen other groups of people get hate crime protection, and we've seen people who attempted to get legislation or have sit downs with you in the beginning of your presidency get rudely ushered out of the door. Those are all things that I've seen during Joe Biden's presidency. Another thing that I've seen during Joe Biden's presidency is the Democrats' lack of response to Republican and conservative attacks on Black history in public schools. You know what I'm saying? Not addressing any other issues as far as the racial wealth gap. I have seen them do a whole lot of nothing. So during the time that Joe Biden has been president, what I've seen is I've seen him do a whole lot of nothing, and I've seen him do a whole lot of excuse making, and I've also seen him just blatantly disrespect Black people and completely undermine our contribution, not only to the country, but to the economy and to everything else. That's what I've seen from Joe Biden. And all of those things are not any one thing that would earn him my vote. That wouldn't earn him a breath of my bad breath if he happened to need CPR from me, let alone a vote. So now here says Democratic candidates perform better than expected in the 2022 midterms elections, a testament to Biden's message that he is defending democracy and elevating the middle class. Democrats expanded their control of the Senate by 1 seat and narrowly lost their House majority, even though history indicated that there would be a Republican wave. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many times have the Democrats had the entire majority of all Washington, right? This is my question. I want everybody in the chat to answer this question for me. I need y'all to participate. How many times have we seen the Democrats have the entire power structure sewn up in Washington? Out of all of those times that they've had the entire power structure sewn up, how many times have they ever done one thing to specifically benefit their most loyal voter base? That's my question. And then my follow-up question to that is, if they've had all of those opportunities and failed on each of those opportunities, what sense does it make to vote for them ever again? Because if you can't get it done while you have an entire majority, then what that means is either you don't want to get it done or you can't get it done at all. And if you can't get it done at all, then you're clearly not the person for the job, which means that you shouldn't get hired. If we give them our votes, that means that we're hiring them. And what we've been doing is not using good hiring practices. We've been hiring incompetent employees for too many years. And what we have to do is we have to show the naysayers and the people that don't believe us, or the people who are just rooted in their old ways, of how incompetent the Democrats actually have been. And what we need to start encouraging people to do is don't vote based on name, vote based on need. What is it that you need? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says fewer Dems want Biden to run again. Okay. When asked about the survey's findings at Monday's news briefing, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre indicated that the results in last year's election mattered more than polling numbers. What a deflection. That's an amazing deflection. The way that we should look at this is what we saw from the midterms, said Jean-Pierre, noting that the relative Democratic success because the president went out there and spoke directly to the American people. Yeah, I don't think that that's how we should look at this at all. I don't think that's a wise way to look at it. I think the way that they should look at it is exactly what it says. The polls show Biden with a bad approval rating because most of America doesn't approve the crappy job that he's been doing. And he needs to improve on a lot of things. Shout out to Jesse. What up with it, bro? So now here it says overall 41%, which is under 50%, approve of how Biden is handling his job as president. So he does not even have a majority. 60 what 41% means is that 59% of people disapprove of his job as president. The poll shows similar ratings at the end of last year. A majority of Democrats still approve of the job Biden is doing as president, yet their appetite for a re-election campaign has slipped despite his electoral track record. Only 22% of U.S. adults overall say he should run again, down from 29% who said so before last year's midterm elections. The decline among Democrats saying Biden should run again for president appears concentrated among younger people. Among Democrats age 45 and over, 49% say Biden should run for re-election, as nearly as many as the 58% who said that in October. Now, what I would actually be concerned about is how fast his approval rate is dropping. How many months ago was October? October was what, about 4 months ago? 5 months ago? So in 5 months, his approval rating plummeted 10%. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. What that's saying is that he's not doing a good job, and the way people are seeing him is getting progressively worse. It's not getting progressively better. If it's getting progressively worse how people are seeing him, then what you would assume is that his support should decay as a result of that. Because why would you support somebody who in the public eye is getting progressively worse? So bad that within 4 months, it's plummeted 10%. You know what I'm saying? Among those under age 45, only 23 now say that he should run for re-election. Now, this is an important statistic, these people under 23, because if you ask me, these are the people who are open-minded. These are the people that may be able to be influenced by a lot of the things that we feel are important. Because what we have to do is we have to try to either eliminate the Democrat bias, or we have to make sure that a person has an open mind to policy over politics. You know what I'm saying? Linda Lockwood, a Democrat and retiree from Kansas City, Kansas, said that she's not worried about Biden's age. He seems to be in pretty good condition, in my opinion, and that's coming from a 76-year-old woman, Lockwood said. You might be a little more careful going down the steps as you get older, but your brain is still working. That's the important part. Let's talk about her comment. Biden clearly can't even get up the stairs. He's fallen down the stairs multiple times. It's on camera. So even within her excuse, oh, he's doing so well, man, we've seen this guy fall up the stairs. We've seen him fall down the stairs. We've seen him fall off of a bike. We've seen him have undiscernible nonsense in the middle of speeches. Shout out to Torian. He called Tyree Tyler. He did that. He did that. Already the oldest president in U.S. history, Biden has been dogged by questions about his age, as he would be 86 if he serves a full 8 years as president. He will be one of the first presidents to be wheeled around in a wheelchair. He often works long days, standing for hours, remembering the names of strangers he met while traveling who want to share a story about their lives with him. But he can't remember somebody whose name is in the national news because they just got deleted by the police. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you guys take a moment and hit the bell icon twice. And also, please make sure you guys share the video out to your social media. That definitely helps. So now here it says he's been a national political figure for half a century, having first been elected to the Senate from Delaware in 1972, and the moments when he appears lost on stage or stumbles through speeches can garner more attention than his policies. Okay, so now here's my question for you guys. We've been following his policies very thoroughly. Very thoroughly. Can I ask you guys a question? What policies has he done that are attention worthy? If you ask me, the policies that he's done that are attention worthy are all the erroneous policies that he's done. The billions of dollars that he's given to Ukraine that have no taxpayer benefit. Giving the LGBTQ groups and AAPI groups hate crime legislation while acting as if he doesn't even understand the black circumstance here in the United States. Them turning the Buffalo situation into a gun control argument. He's done nothing impressive in my eyes. Like I said, he can't even ride a two-wheel bike. Thank goodness he had it. Well, I shouldn't say thank goodness, but he had a helmet on and fell down. And then he fell up the stairs. He defied gravity for once in his life. So now here it says voters like Ross Truckee, who's 35, have been watching the president carefully. A lawyer in Michigan, Truckee, did not vote for Biden or Republican Trump in 2020. He feels as though Biden has been the latest in a string of subpar presidents, and I'd have to agree with that. Okay. His age and possibly his mental acuity is not where I would want the leader of the country to be, Truckee said. At times, he appears to be an old man who is past his prime. Sometimes I feel a little bit of pity for the guy being pushed out in front of crowds. And I mean, he's not being pushed out in front of crowds because nobody sat there and pushed him and made him be the president. Shout out to my man, James Hudson. What's good, bro? Nobody made him go be the president. Nobody said, get your ass out there and be the president. Matter of fact, I think a lot of people was like, go sit your ass down somewhere. But you guys see when people tell Joe Biden to go sit his ass down somewhere, you see what people do, or you see what Joe Biden does. He says, watch me. That's his response. Watch me. Biden has repeatedly emphasized in his speeches that it's essential for the public to know the totality of what his administration is doing. I'll tell you one thing that his administration did. He went on the Breakfast Club and told Charlemagne the God, if people don't vote for him, they're not black. Another thing that he did is when asked about reparations, he thought it was funny to say that there would be no conversations about reparations unless indigenous people were brought up. Another thing that he did that he thought was funny was when asked about reparations again, he decided to talk about how the country was built by immigrants. These are all things that Joe Biden did. And then there's the leaked Zoom call. And then let me ask you guys a question. Why did Joe Biden not tell the AAPI community, and why did he not tell the academy, as Tori and Rain likes to call them, that they need to just learn to work with Hispanics, and that what he can't do is he can't write a bunch of executive orders because that would be unconstitutional? I'm not making this stuff up, am I? All of this stuff happened, right? We're all on the same page here. These are all things that Joe Biden did. Shout out to Get Noticed with Nikki. What up with it? So now here it says it's notched 4 big legislative victories with C-19 relief, the bipartisan infrastructure law, the CHIPS Science and Art, or I'm sorry, the CHIPS and Science Act, and tax and spending measures that help to address climate change and improve the IRS ability to enforce tax code and help taxpayers. What about the economy? The economy is trash right now. And the economy is trash right now as a result of horrible foreign policy, horrible monetary policy. Stock market is volatile. The FX market is volatile. The prime rate and the consumer price index hit 40-year highs. That's nothing to brag about. There's nothing to brag about. Yet, just 13% have lots of confidence in Biden's ability to accomplish major policy goals. When it comes to us, our particular demographic, what percentage of us should have any confidence in Biden's not only ability, but willingness to accomplish major policy goals? Joe Biden directly said that he's not doing anything for us. So we should have a 0% confidence rate in Joe Biden. If you guys agree that we should have a 0% confidence rate in Joe Biden, give me a thumbs up. If you guys feel that we should have a higher confidence rating in Joe Biden, give me a thumbs down. I think that there is literally nobody that is a part of our demographic that should lend Joe Biden any ounce of believing he has the capability or willingness to get anything done for us, because he said out of his own mouth, and he also chose a vice president who said out of her own mouth that they didn't plan on doing anything for us, while they knew that they were going to get the most loyal amounts of support from us. That is a backstab with the knife all the way in the back. You know what I'm saying? A possible reflection of the fact that he must now work with a Republican majority in the House that wants to cut spending in return for lifting the government's legal borrowing authority. Okay. So now here it says the poll also shows that only 23% of U.S. adults say they have a great deal of confidence in Biden to effectively manage the White House. That has tricked down from 28% a year ago and remains significantly lower than 44%, which was 2 years ago, just as Biden took office. So as you can see, what do you guys notice about the trend of Biden's approvals? Do you guys notice anything about the trend of Biden's approvals? What's happening to them? As time goes on, what happens to his approval rating? So now, if his approval rating is moving at the pattern that it's moving, by the time 2024 gets here, what do you guys think his numbers will look like? What do you guys think his numbers will look like? You know what I'm saying? So Biden's big selling point is that he's willing to work with Republicans. Now, when it comes to working with Republicans, when it comes to working with Latinos, when it comes to working with the LGBTQ community, when it comes to working with the AAPI community, Biden is a very willing participant. He's very cooperative. He's the, hey, you know what I'm saying? You bring the beer and I'll bring the food type of guy. But when it comes to dealing with us, oh, slow that horse down, Jack. And shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. Yes, absolutely. Please make sure that you guys hit that like button. If you guys have not subscribed, make sure you take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Also, help your boy out by sharing the video. So now this is a duo that is not so dynamic. Kamala Harris is trying to define her vice presidency. Even her allies are tired of waiting. What this means is that when it comes to Kamala Harris's performance, that's all it is a performance. She's acting like a vice president, but she hasn't been an effective vice president. Here's my question. What has Kamala Harris done to earn her more votes? That's my question. Besides said some of the dumbest things that anybody has ever heard, and she has a very unpleasant laugh to listen to. What has she done? Miss Harris is struggling to carve out a lane for herself in what may be one of the most consequential periods in the vice presidency. So they're going in on her. Now, think about that, right? Let's actually tackle that question. Let's actually dive into that. Shout out to DSA. What has Kamala Harris done to define her presidency besides being a joke, besides being a butthead, besides butting into everybody's business and being the butt of every single joke? What has she done to define her presidency, her vice presidency? I got to agree with DJ Elmo. She's goofy in a very bad way. You know what I'm saying? Kamala Harris was frustrated. The text of a speech she had been given to deliver in Chicago to the nation's biggest teachers union was just another dreary scripted talk that said little of any consequence, which is interesting because when it comes to police brutality, shout out to Shatera, when it comes to all of these things that we're talking about, like with Tyree Nichols, they're not talking about consequence. And in this next stream that I plan on doing, so make sure you guys remember, watch the stream all the way through to the end. It'll take you right into the premiere window for the next one, and it'll start up immediately. We're going to be talking about some specific things that went down with the police that I think you'll find shocking because the mainstream media is not really exposing these things. And these are things that are going on in situations beyond Tyree Nichols. You know what I'm saying? As Air Force Two made its way to the Midwest over the summer, the vice president told her staff that she wanted to say something more significant, more direct. She brandished a Rolling Stone magazine article about the backlash against Florida school officials after new legislation barring the discussion of gender identity in the classroom. And I find it fascinating because the New York Times is taking out and focusing on the gender issues when more people are upset about the Black history being talked about in terms of critical race theory and Ron DeSantis removing that and removing a lot of Black literature and a lot of Black books from school. But she decided to focus on the LGBTQ part. Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention and really actually pay attention to this. I want you guys to keep track, get your pen and get your paper, write it down and keep tally until 2021. Every politician that pushes LGBTQ, I want you to dig deep and find out how much money they got in their campaign from someone in the Pritzker family. Because the Pritzker family is one of the families that's bankrolling that. A lot of people talk about Barack Obama and how Barack Obama had that particular agenda. Look and see who are the people who gave him a lot of the batteries in his backs. A lot of the batteries in his backs came from the Pritzker family. J.B. Pritzker is the governor of Illinois. He's the guy in the background that looks like Wilson Fisk from Marvel Comics that you don't really hear about too much. When it comes to Illinois, as much as they talk about Lori Lightfoot in the news, you would actually think that she was the governor, but she's not. How many people know about Governor J.B. Pritzker? If you guys know about Pritzker, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down. Steal My Beat says, did you ever look up Maritime Rothblatt? Nah, but they sound like one of them folks. Just like Val said, Pritzkers are them folks. They them folks for real. You know what I'm saying? You know they gangbang up in Chicago, but the Pritzkers is them folks for real. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the teachers she was about to address were on the front lines of the nation's quote unquote culture wars. Now we've talked about the culture wars, right? But I think it's important for people to know about the culture wars. When you guys hear about the culture wars, what does that mean to you? When they talk about America's going through a culture war or Ron DeSantis is a culture warrior, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does the culture war mean? Yeah, I agree, DJ Elmo. If you guys haven't watched that video about the Pritzker family, make sure you guys take a moment, carve out some time and watch it. It's a good video to watch if you're driving somewhere. You'll get a lot of eye-opening information in it. So now here it says they were the same ones on the front lines of the school shootings, just blandly ticking through the federal funding for education would not be enough. The plane was just an hour from Chicago, but she said they needed to start over. By the time she landed, she had more spirited version of a speech in mind, accusing extremists or so-called leaders in the Republican Party of taking away rights and freedoms. Miss Harris's small airborne rebellion that day encapsulated the trap that she finds herself in. Look at this. Look at this. She has already made history as the first woman, the first African American, and the first Asian American to ever serve as vice president. But she still has struggled to define her role much beyond that legacy. So they're really using the intersectionality thing for Kamala Harris. I want you guys to pay very close attention to that. They're really heavily drilling on that intersectionality thing with Kamala Harris. So the thing that I would say in response to this is do not let the white media present you with a token and say, this is your candidate, because it's not our candidate. Don't let the white media or the population at large hand you Barack Obama or hand you Kamala Harris and say, this is your candidate. No, this isn't our candidate. That isn't our candidate. Make sure that you always stand firm and define what it is that you want or what it is that you have. Shout out to my man Torian. Torian says your favorite troll has entered the chat. You guys can do whatever you want. You guys want to play Hunger Games with the troll? You guys want to play Whack-A-Mole? If you guys want to let him live, or if you guys want to play Hunger Games, let me know. All the moderators, if you guys want to Whack-A-Mole, or if you guys want to let him live, it's up to you guys today. It's up to you guys today. You guys can beat him up a little bit if you want to. If you don't want to, you know, whatever you guys want to do. It's up to you guys. The thing that troll should understand is that he has no control over his own fate. That make you feel good? That make you feel good? It's just like the United States. You got no control over your own fate. So now here it says her staff notes that she has made strides emerging as a strong voice in her administration on abortion rights. How many people are invested in abortion rights? If you guys are invested in abortion rights, give me a thumbs up. Shout out to Hey Mr. Knickerbocker. What's up with it? If you guys are not invested in abortion rights, give me a thumbs down. RG Titan said, let's have some fun with him. Too bad. He already caught the bullet. You know what I'm saying? He already got digital chalk outlining his little troll body. It is what it is. Maybe next time. She has positioned herself as a more visible advocate for the administration, giving a speech last week at the funeral for Tyree Nichols. Now, that's interesting, right? She's emerging as a strong voice in the administration on abortion rights, but her more visible role was giving a speech at Tyree Nichols' funeral. What do you guys think? The 29-year-old who was beaten by Memphis police officers and her critics and detractors alike acknowledge that the vice presidency is intended to be a supporting role, as well as many of her predecessors have labored to make themselves relevant as well. But the painful reality for Ms. Harris is that in private conversations over the last few months, dozens of Democrats in the White House, on Capitol Hill, and around the nation, including some who helped put her on the party's 2020 ticket, said that she has not risen to the challenge of proving herself as a future leader of the party, much less the country. So now, with the approval ratings that Joe Biden has and the disapproval ratings that Kamala Harris has, my question is, what do you guys see for the future? What do you guys see for the future? Even some Democrats, whom her own advisors referred reporters to for supportive quotes, confided privately that they had lost hope in her. Through much of the fall, a quiet panic set in among key Democrats about what would happen if President Biden opted not to run for a second term, which we all know is not going to happen. He's going to run for a second term, according to him as of right now. Most Democrats interviewed who insisted on being anonymous to avoid alienating the White House said they flatly did not think that Mrs. Harris could win the presidency in 2024. So now let me ask you guys about this real quick, because now what we're doing is we're looking at the development of a situation. The development of the situation that we have is that it's not looking good for Joe Biden, and it's not looking good for Kamala Harris. Shout out to my man Law. What's good with it, bro? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, please make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't shared the video out, please make sure you guys share the video out. And if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit that bell. Shout out to Ed Berry. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says some of the party's biggest challenge would be finding a way to sideline her without inflaming key Democratic constituencies that would take office. So what they're doing, it looks, what this looks like, and I want to make sure that you guys agree or disagree. It looks like they're making excuses despite all of the negative approval rating that Joe Biden has. They're making excuses for Joe Biden, but it looks like what they're trying to do is they're trying to rush Kamala Harris out the back door. If you guys think that that's what's going on, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that's what's going on, give me a thumbs down and let me know what you guys think. So now here it says, with Mr. Biden appearing all but certain to run again, the concern over Ms. Harris has shifted to whether she will be a political liability for the ticket. We just read about Joe Biden's approval ratings, and you see how they're trying to dump being a political liability on Kamala Harris. And I got to agree with Lanessa. Joe Biden really shouldn't run again. I agree with that. Lanessa should just walk up to Joe Biden and put her hand on his shoulder and say, you know, you really shouldn't run again. And then just go sit back down. I wonder what Joe Biden would do. That'd be hilarious. I think that'd be great. How many people think that that would be great? I think that'd be amazing. Somebody take a video of it and post it up somewhere. I think Joe Biden should start eating all of his food mashed. And somebody should take him to get sized for some pull-ups. I definitely don't think that he should be pulling up to the damn debates this year. I think he should be pulling up some adult Huggies and sitting his ass down somewhere. But that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. Given that Mr. Biden is at 80, and that's already the oldest president in American history, so his old ass actually is history and part of history, Republicans would most likely make Harris, who is 58, a prime attack line, arguing that a vote for Mr. Biden may be, in fact, a vote to put her in the Oval Office, which, I mean, that really shouldn't be an attack, and that should be something that's easy to be countered. But, I mean, you know, whatever. Yeah, exactly, Shater. That's what you said. It's been fun, you know what I'm saying? But now it's somebody else's turn, so going, you know what I'm saying, back to the back of the line. That will be, in my opinion, one of the most hard-hitting arguments against Biden, said John Morgan, a prominent fundraiser for Democrats, including Mr. Biden and a former Florida finance chairman for President Bill Clinton. It doesn't take a genius to say, look, with his age, we really do have to think about this. So what we have to do is we have to think about we will vote for Joe Biden, but it's Kamala Harris who's the liability because Joe Biden might die. Wouldn't it be Joe Biden who, since he's old as hell, might expire? Like, wouldn't that be the liability? Isn't that logical? Shout out to my man Jared Allens. What up with it, bro? And shout out to DJ Elmo for answering that Nightbot. So far, he said she has not distinguished herself. I can't think, look and see, he's asking the same question that I said. I can't think of one thing she's done except stay out of the way and stand behind him at certain ceremonies. Well, another thing she said is that she's not going to do anything for black people. She also laughs profusely every time she's asked a question. A lot of times when asked a question, she won't even answer the question whatsoever. And she's found a way to be everywhere except for on the border, which, if I'm not mistaken, one of the jobs that she had at the beginning of her vice presidency was being the border czar. And we're still dealing with the ongoing border crisis, which is not a problem that's specific to the Biden presidency, but it's an ongoing problem nonetheless that no president in American history is really dealing with appropriately. You know what I'm saying? So now here says some 39% of Americans approve of Ms. Harris's job performance, according to a recent aggregate of surveys compiled by the polling site 538. So in this poll, it seems like people approve of Kamala Harris a little bit more than they approve of Biden. But yet somehow they're saying that she would be the political liability. Does that make sense? If you ask me, they're both a political liability. But what's interesting is that it seems like her scores are higher. But the article seems like it's kind of a hit piece on her. Maybe she's getting her wake-up call. This puts her below Biden's. Oh, no, it puts her below Biden, so I'm wrong. It puts her below Biden's approval rating, which has hovered at around 42% for the past month. So, like, what should happen is if the Republicans run anybody that's not just a complete idiot, they should easily be able to beat Biden and Harris if Biden and Harris are back on the ticket, right? Right? With those poor approval ratings, if the Republicans don't put somebody on the ballot that's just a complete idiot, it would seem like it would be a pretty easy W for them, right? And shout out to my man JB Easy. What up with it, bro? Real quick, guys, if you haven't smashed that like button, please help your boy out. Smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed, hit that bell. So now here it says, now who are Mrs. Harris's allies? I don't know who her allies are. It says Miss Harris allies says she was trapped in a damned if she does, damned if she doesn't conundrum. And I think that that's interesting because if you guys listen to a lot of what the Black Authority and a lot of what Professor Black Truth said about the position that the government was putting Kamala Harris in, this is exactly what they said. They said that they were setting her up for the fall. Professor Black Truth and TBA called that out like at least, I don't know how long ago, but it was a long time ago. You guys remember when they talked about that? So here they are now saying it in the New York Times. She is expected to not do anything to overshadow Mr. Biden while navigating intractable issues he has assigned to her, such as quote unquote voting rights and illegal immigration. So now here's my question. We just did a video about illegal immigration, and it's talking about Mayor Eric Adams. My question is, and I need some chat participation from everybody, how do you guys feel that Kamala Harris is handling the border issue? Is she handling the immigration crisis with care or nah? If she is, give me a thumbs up. If she's not, give me a thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, and some see a double standard applied to a prominent woman of color. So now here we're doing the woman of color thing, people of color thing. And the reason why we're doing the people of color thing is because in one sentence she's Asian, and then in the next sentence she's quote unquote African American, according to them, which she's actually not African American. Wouldn't she actually be Jamaican Canadian? You know what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't that actually be more accurate? Handling it like she handled Cali. Facts. She can go across the border with them. Facts. She should become an honorary south of the Borderian. They're people of color too. She'd fit right in. You know what I'm saying? That's what being a first is all about. So now we're going with this, she's the first, said Representative James Clyburn. Imagine that. Democrat of South Carolina, one of the nation's most quote unquote prominent black lawmakers. Well, how many laws has he made? I could tell you one that he didn't make: the George Floyd Justice and Policing Bill. So how is he prominent if he can't get basic stuff done? He's sitting up there talking about butter biscuits, his specialty. You know what I'm saying? That's what being a first is all about. Yeah, he knows about that. What being a first is all about is a form of symbolism. How about being ineffective? I'd rather hold out on a first if I can get an effective. Let me ask you guys a question. Would you guys rather have a first politician, or would you guys rather have an effective politician? That's the question. Who's been an outspoken supporter. She's got to work every day to make sure she's not the last. While Mr. Biden was quoted in a new book by Chris Whipple, The Fight for His Life, which he probably is on right now, being 80 years old. But anyway, calling Ms. Harris a work in progress. The White House defended her when asked for comment, forwarding a statement from Ron Klain, the president's departing chief of staff, who has been her most important internal ally. So that's who the most important ally is. This guy named Ron Klain. Have you guys ever heard of this guy named Ron Klain? What's up with him? I never heard of him before. Mr. Klain, who served as chief of staff to two vice presidents, said that those who hold the post often take grief, but go on to prove skeptics wrong. He cited Ms. Harris's outspoken support for abortion rights and her international trips. So again, none of what they're talking about here is anything that's of any kind of benefit to us. Yeah, that's facts. We don't have that kind of time, Shatira. Real talk. She has done all that operating under high expectations, he added, noting her status as various firsts. So again, what they're concentrating on is various firsts. They're not concentrating on the results of what she's done in those positions. We need to be concentrating on the results of what she's done in those positions. Kamala should be the Harley Quinn with her personality and that grin. Facts. How's it going today, Mr. B? That's probably what she says while she's swinging around a baseball bat and then accidentally hit herself in the head with it. Because she ain't got swag like that. You know what I'm saying? She carries these expectations not as a burden, but with grace and an understanding of how much her quote unquote history making role inspires others. She's also making other history with those low approval ratings, because I'm pretty sure those are record lows. I've never really heard people have approval ratings in the damn 20s and 30s. That's kind of crazy. That makes you have to ask the question, well, what the hell are y'all actually doing? Are you doing anything? Ms. Harris has a fresh opportunity to find her footing with the arrival of the new Congress, because the Senate was split evenly for the last 2 years. Ms. Harris has cast 26 tie-breaking votes in her role as president of the Senate, more than any vice president since John C. Calhoun. So look at how close everything was. So with things being that close, do you guys think she could have put in some tie-breaking votes for some legislation that we need, like reparations or a hate crime protection bill for FBA? You guys think she could have done that with those tie-breaking votes? Clearly, everything is neck and neck. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, with Democrats now holding a 51-49 edge, at least in cases when Senator Kristen Sinema of Arizona, the rogue Democrat turned independent, votes with them, Ms. Harris has a little more breathing space. She has told her staff that she wants to make at least 3 out-of-town trips a week in the coming year. That's a goal for somebody who's retired. You know what I'm saying? That's not a goal for a vice president. You need to be dealing with stuff here. Like, look at all the crises that we have. Look at Jackson, Mississippi. Flint, Michigan is still doing really bad as far as natural disasters go. They didn't even bring none of that stuff up in the State of the Union address. What does that tell you about what time she's on? That should tell you a lot. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says no one feels the frustration of being underestimated more acutely than Miss Harris, but she makes a point out of not exhibiting it publicly. In an interview with the New York Times, while she was in Japan last fall, which God only knows what was going on over there, she tried to explain her own political identity. Oh, Lord, here we go. You got to know what you stand for. And when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for, Ms. Harris said. So that's clearly why she hasn't done anything, because she don't know what she stands for. She don't know who she stands for, and she don't know how to fight. So now we know why there has been a stunt in her progress and growth. What that translates into in tangible terms is less clear. Yeah. Which is why we haven't seen anything tangible come from her. After her disastrous interview with Lester Holt of NBC in June of 2021, in which she struggled to articulate the administration's strategy for securing the border. And let me ask you guys a question. She struggled to articulate the administration's strategy for securing the border. It seems like her struggle to articulate this strategy has translated to a struggle to secure the border, doesn't it? If it does, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't, give me a thumbs down. So what it seems to me is that Kamala Harris projects. She's not able to articulate about particular things when there's nothing in place for it. And she's the one that's supposed to be putting that stuff in place. White House officials, including some in her own office, noted that she all but went into a bunker for about a year, avoiding many interviews out of what aides said was a fear of making mistakes and disappointing Mr. Biden. So instead of worrying about her own self-image and effectiveness, her biggest concern was a fear of making mistakes and disappointing Mr. Biden. What was he going to do? Give you a spanking or something? Shout out to AJ. Make sure you guys drop some radiation in the chat for AJ. AJ's helped your boy out with a donation. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to AJ. So now here it says members of Congress, Democratic strategists, and other majority party figures all said that she had not made herself into a formidable leader, which again, if that's the case, they should have seen that in foresight and not put her on the damn ballot. So now they want to go back on the monster that they created. Two Democrats recalled private conversations in which former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton lamented that Ms. Harris could not win because she does not have the political instincts to clear a primary field. Nick Merrill, a spokesperson for Ms. Clinton, said she was strongly supportive of Ms. Harris and often spoke with her about shared experiences of being a woman in power while stabbing her in the back, clearly. Yeah, you know, we're all in this together as women. Fist pump, fist pump, fist pump. Knife in your back, knife in your back, knife in your back. He added, they have built and maintained a strong bond. Any other characterization is patently false. Well, not really. Advisors and allies trace Ms. Harris's challenges to her transition from the lawyerly prosecutor she used to be as a district attorney of San Francisco and the attorney general of California into a job where symbolism and politics are prioritized. Symbolism and politics. Well, her job was to be a symbol, and that's exactly what she's been. So if her job was to be a symbol and no more, no less, then that means that she is doing her job. The job was for her to be a symbol, not for her to be an effective politician. And if you ask me, that right there is exactly what we're seeing. She's an effective symbol, but she's an ineffective politician. So I don't think we need to read any more of this because you guys get the point. Kamala Harris is getting thrown under the bus while she has similar approval or disapproval ratings to Joe Biden. So you got to ask yourself the question, okay, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris looking pretty bad. There might be a difference in running mates or there may not. What's the strategy? If you ask me, one of the most important things that we should start doing is looking into creating a super PAC. We also need to create think tanks that manufacture the talking points and the debate tactics that our politicians will use to be able to dominate any situation that they're in to make our arguments palatable for the public to get our stuff done. If you ask me, those are some of the things that we should look into doing. And one of the ways to do that is we have to generate revenue through businesses, industries, and supporting each other. Some people may disagree, some people may agree, but only time will tell. But what time has been telling everybody else is that it's really over for Joe Biden and the Democrats. And I hope I just explained why. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Hang tight. The next stream will be starting up in less than a minute, and I will see you all over there. All right? Peace.